Welcome to the Gym Success Podcast. Welcome to all of our listeners. Gym owners, gym operators, managers, salespeople, gym entrepreneurs, and personal trainers.
I'm Bonnie.
And I'm George. And today we'll be taking you through the white paper by jthomas.
Yeah, our goal really is to give you actionable insights, stuff you can, implement right away in your fitness business.
That's right. Today we're doing a deep dive into jthomas's white paper, Managing Risk in the Gym Business. And look, this isn't just theory. Okay, it's a really critical topic for anyone building or growing a fitness business. That goes for independent gym owners, boutique studios, personal trainers, even aspiring entrepreneurs. Jim's perspective, well, it cuts through a lot of the noise.
It really does. He offers strategies you might not even realize you need yet.
Right.
And jthomas makes it, abundantly clear. Risk isn't just some vague thing to maybe consider. He calls it an inevitable part of business, especially for us, right? Dealing directly with people's bodies, health, safety.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for you listening? It means proactively managing risk. It's not just like good practice.
Yep.
It's a non-negotiable, a business imperative for sustainable growth.
He actually argues, doesn't he, that it's often the unmanaged risks that kind of silently erode a business from the inside out.
Precisely. And unlike, a lot of other industries, the stakes in the gym business are just uniquely high. We're talking potential physical injuries, yeah, but also big financial missteps.
Oh, yeah.
Debilitating legal liabilities, even like irreversible damage to your reputation.
Yeah, that's huge. This white paper, it really is like a masterclass. It outlines these essential strategies for identifying risk, mitigating it, managing it across 6 critical dimensions.
Think of it like a blueprint, maybe, for a more resilient, future-proof fitness company.
Exactly, a blueprint. And that's what we're going to unpack for you today. We'll go through each dimension, pull out jthomas's key strategies, maybe some surprising insights too.
Yeah, the stuff he brings to the table so you can, actually transform your operations and build that truly resilient company he talks about.
Okay, so let's dig into the first dimension. Safety protocols and member protection. Jthomas really emphasizes this, doesn't he? The physical nature of fitness puts safety front and center.
Oh, absolutely. He states one mishap can lead to lawsuits, reputational damage, or even business closure. I mean, that's stark.
It is. This is really where the rubber meets the road for so many gym owners, where, like you said, one oversight can have just catastrophic consequences.
And this is where Jim's insights get really practical, really actionable. What are some of those, absolute non-negotiables he outlines? For keeping members safe, yes, but also really protecting your business. He goes beyond the obvious stuff.
Okay, first up, comprehensive waivers and informed consent.
Yeah.
Every new member obviously needs to sign a detailed waiver acknowledging the risks.
Right, but here's the nuance Jim brings, isn't it? He's not just saying, get a waiver.
Exactly. He points out that so many owners just download some generic template online, and Jim's paper makes it clear those often fall short legally. The real insight here is that improperly vetted waiver. It can actually be worse than having none at all.
Gives you that false sense of security.
Right, while potentially increasing your liability in court if it's challenged. He insists these documents have to be legally vetted, state-specific risks for your facility, your activities.
And updated too, right, as your gym evolves.
Yeah, regularly updated.
Yeah.
This isn't just your first line of defense. It's a really complex legal foundation you need to get right.
That's such a powerful point he makes. Okay, what's next on the safety front?
Then there's equipment maintenance and regular inspections. So you need a documented schedule, daily, weekly, monthly checks.
And not just doing the checks, but logging them meticulously.
Precisely. Maintain detailed logs of every inspection, every repair. This isn't just about, spotting a loose bolt. It's about demonstrating due diligence if an incident ever occurs.
It's proof. Proof that you're actively monitoring, maintaining a safe environment. It's not enough to just say, oh, yeah, we checked the equipment. You need that paper trail.
Shows a proactive safety culture.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Vital. What else?
Next, certified and trained staff. And again, this isn't just about having generally good trainers. It's about requiring all staff, all trainers, to maintain current CPRE and first aid certifications.
That's the baseline.
That's the baseline. Beyond that, Jim emphasizes implementing internal hands-on training, proper equipment usage, spotting techniques, detailed emergency response protocols.
Which raises that crucial question. Are your staff truly ready for an emergency? Not just on paper, but in reality.
Right. Jim Thomas often shares these stories where a quick practice response didn't just save a life, it also shielded the gym from, catastrophic legal and reputational fallout.
It's the difference between having a certificate on the wall and real-world readiness under pressure. Huge difference.
Absolutely. That ongoing practical training is vital.
Okay, and the last piece for safety.
Finally, safety signage and floor policies. You need clear, visible signs on machines, in saunas, wet zones, heavy lifting areas, everywhere relevant.
Use visuals too, right? To educate members on form, etiquette, safety rules.
Exactly. It's about proactive education, setting clear boundaries, leaving no room for misunderstanding when it comes to safe operation and, frankly, safe behavior within your facility.
Jim points out how seemingly small things, like a faded sign or one tucked away in a corner, can become Exhibit A in a lawsuit.
Yeah. He argues it empowers members too, helps them take responsibility for their own safety by giving them those constant clear reminders and guidelines.
Okay, so you've got the physical space hopefully secured, members protected. But then Jim Thomas shifts gears, doesn't he? He points out that many gyms still face this huge threat, not from accidents, but from their own finances.
Yeah, the balance sheet. He says many gyms go under not because they fail to attract members, but because of mismanaged finances and poor cash flow planning.
And that really hits home, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs. They're passionate fitness pros, but maybe the financial nitty-gritty is less intuitive.
Definitely.
So Jim doesn't just state the problem, he gives practical steps. What's one of his key strategies in financial planning that maybe gym owners often overlook, but could save them from a major cash flow crisis?
It really starts with creating a robust financial plan. That means projecting income and expenses month by month, including buffers for, downturns or unexpected repairs.
Making break-even analysis standard practice too, right? Like quarterly reviews.
Exactly. Jim stresses, if you're not doing this, you're essentially flying blind, making decisions based on guesses, not solid numbers. This comprehensive approach, it gives you foresight, lets you make strategic adjustments, not just reactive ones.
Okay, solid plan first, then what?
Then, diversify revenue streams. And this isn't just about adding more income, Jim Thomas points out. It's about building genuine business resilience.
Resilience. That's key.
Yeah. He's seen gyms thrive through economic downturns or, crises like the pandemic, not because they had more members necessarily, but because their revenue came from multiple different sources.
Like online coaching when gyms were closed, or maybe high-margin retail that offsets membership dips?
Exactly. Things like personal training packages, small group training, retail supplements, apparel online classes, virtual coaching, even facility rentals or workshops. It protects you if one stream suddenly slows down. It's about creating a robust financial ecosystem, not just relying on that one pillar of memberships.
Makes sense. Build multiple legs for the stool.
What about pricing itself?
That's the next point. Smart pricing models. You need to periodically evaluate your pricing strategy. It's not static.
So considering things like tiered memberships,
Right.
prepaid discounts, loyalty bonuses.
All of that. Ensure your pricing reflects the value you provide while staying competitive in your market. Jim really challenges you to ask yourself, am I leaving money on the table by underpricing premium services? Or am I priced too high compared to competitors?
Getting that balance right. Getting it right is crucial for attracting and retaining members while also maximizing your profitability. And like I said, it's dynamic. You need to revisit it.
Okay, and how do you manage all this effectively? Keep track of the cash flow.
Right, that ties it all together. Cash flow management tools, use good gym management software, something that integrates billing, automated dunning. That's the process for chasing overdue payments.
Crucial.
It gives you good financial reporting. And critically, Jim advises maintaining a buffer, a minimum of 3 to 6 months worth of fixed operational costs saved up.
Your financial safety net.
Exactly. That lets you weather unexpected storms, a sudden repair bill, a drop in memberships, without risking immediate closure. He calls it the difference between panicking when an emergency hits and having the stability to navigate it strategically.
Okay, so you've planned your finances meticulously. You might think, okay, I'm ready for anything. But Jim Thomas reminds us, even the best plans can't account for every disaster.
No kidding. Which brings us to the third critical dimension, insurance coverage.
And he doesn't mince words here, does he? Calls it your financial firewall against worst-case scenarios.
Yeah, he's very clear.
Yeah.
This isn't optional. It's absolutely essential for survival. It provides that crucial layer of protection when everything else just goes wrong.
So what are the absolute must-have policies he outlines? Because you might think you're covered, but often there are these critical gaps you only discover when it's, well, too late.
Right. First, the foundational one. General liability insurance. This covers bodily injuries and property damage occurring on your premises.
Slip and falls, damage to a neighbor's property, maybe?
Exactly. But, and Jim Thomas often cautions this policy doesn't cover everything. It typically won't protect you from claims related to, say, professional advice given by a trainer
Ah, okay. Or like a data breach.
or a cyber data breach, which leads us to the other crucial policies,
Okay, like what?
like professional liability insurance. It's also known as errors and omissions, or E&O.
Right, and this specifically protects trainers and coaches for the guidance they provide, yeah.
Exactly. It's for the advice you give, not just the physical space. If a client claims they were injured because of faulty instruction or maybe a poorly designed program,
B&O is what kicks in.
that's right. It's distinct from general liability and totally vital if you have trainers providing direct services, giving advice on movement and health constantly.
Makes sense. Absolutely critical for trainers. What else?
Next, workers' compensation insurance. In most places, this is legally required anyway. It protects your employees if they get injured on the job.
Not just good practice, it's often the law. Ensures your staff are looked after if something happens while they're working.
And Jim stresses the fines for not having this can be crippling. It's a non-negotiable if you have employees.
Okay. What about the physical stuff, the building, the equipment?
That's property insurance. Covers your building, your equipment, your furnishings against things like fire, theft, vandalism, or natural disasters.
Protects your physical assets, whether you own the building or just lease the space and own the contents.
Right. Without this, one bad event, a burst pipe, an electrical fire could just wipe out your entire investment overnight, leave you with nothing to rebuild.
Scary thought. Okay, any others?
Finally, one that's increasingly important, though maybe still considered optional by some, cyber liability insurance.
Ah, the data breach protection.
Exactly. If you're storing sensitive client data health info, billing details, personal info digitally, this policy covers breaches, ransomware attacks, network security failures.
And in today's world, with everything online.
Right. With so much info in the cloud on various systems, Jim argues this is becoming as vital as physical property insurance. He highlights that a data breach can lead to massive fines, class action lawsuits, and just irreparable damage to your reputation.
Definitely something modern gyms need to seriously consider. Okay, let's move on. Legal stuff.
Yes, Dimension 4, legal considerations and compliance. Jim Thomas warns, even the most well-meaning gym can find itself in legal hot water without proper operational compliance.
This is where those small oversights can really snowball into big problems, right? Sometimes just because you weren't aware of some complex regulation.
Exactly. It's not always about bad intentions. Sometimes it's just ignorance of the rules. So, what are the common legal pitfalls Jim sees gym owners falling into?
Well, one of the biggest, he says, is employment classification and labor laws. You absolutely must get clear on whether your trainers are W-2 employees or 1099 independent contractors.
Misclassification. Huge issue in fitness.
Huge. It leads to hefty fines, back pay claims, sometimes even criminal charges. Beyond that, you need clean payroll practices, ensure minimum wage and overtime compliance, track work hours diligently. Seems basic, but neglecting it creates massive legal exposure.
Okay, worker classification is key. What else?
Then there's ADA compliance, the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Making your facility accessible.
Right, installing ramps, widening entrances, having ADA-compliant bathrooms, ensuring equipment is usable by members with disabilities. Jim emphasizes this isn't just about being inclusive, which is important, it's a legal requirement. And ignoring it
Can lead to costly lawsuits, mandated renovations that drain your budget, and, frankly, PR nightmares.
Okay, ADA. What about things like cleanliness, pools, saunas?
That falls under health department regulations. Absolutely key, especially if you offer locker rooms, saunas, pools, maybe even just showers. You need to stay compliant with local rules on sanitation, HVAC systems, water filtration.
Things that can be easily overlooked sometimes.
Very easily. But they're critical for member health and safety and health inspectors. They don't tend to be very lenient about public health violations. Jim often mentions businesses getting shut down for seemingly minor hygiene issues that became major concerns.
Wow. Okay, last legal point.
Finally, data protection and privacy laws. If you collect personal health data or use digital systems for memberships, billing, whatever, you have to comply with laws like CCPA in California or GDPR if you have global clients or use certain apps.
Using secure systems, protecting that sensitive info? Absolutely. Jim points out the legal landscape around data privacy is always changing, so staying updated is crucial. A single breach of sensitive health data, devastating for trust and your finances.
Okay, that covers the legal side. Now, what about actual crises? Fires, floods?
Right, Dimension 5, crisis management and business continuity. Jim Thomas reminds us, emergencies happen: fires, floods, pandemics, power outages.
Your ability to respond quickly, effectively, it can literally make or break your gym.
It's all about being prepared for the unforeseen, minimizing disruption, protecting your core operations when things go sideways.
And this is where that preparation really pays off. Not just reacting, but having a well-rehearsed roadmap. So what are the best practices he highlights here, going beyond just, having a plan written down somewhere?
First, create and train for emergency protocols. Maintain a detailed manual, yes, but with action plans for a whole range of scenarios.
Like medical emergencies, fires, evacuations.
Weather shutdowns, equipment failures, even public health outbreaks that we saw with COVID. The point is, you simply cannot improvise effectively in a crisis.
A well-rehearsed plan ensures everyone knows what to do when seconds count.
Exactly. Jim stresses that everyone, front desk, trainers, managers, needs to know their specific role. And regular drills, absolutely key, not just reading the manual.
Okay, practice is key. What about the tech side? Data.
Crucial. Data backup and technology redundancy. Use cloud-based systems for member data, scheduling payments. That's a good start.
But also have a local backup, right? Preferably off-site.
Yes. Always ensure at least one local backup, ideally stored somewhere else. If your digital systems go down and look, they will at some point.
Power outage, server crash, cyber attack.
Right. You need to be able to continue operations without losing critical information or access to your members. Think about it. How do you run the gym if your member database is suddenly inaccessible? Jim's seen gyms literally brought to a standstill because of that.
Wow. Okay, so protocols, data backup. What else is vital in a crisis?
Communication. Jim puts a fascinating focus on having a dedicated member communication plan.
How you talk to your members during the crisis.
Exactly. Use email, SMS, social media, whatever channels your members use to communicate closures, changes in hours, safety updates, anything related to the crisis. The faster and more clearly you respond, the more trust you preserve.
Silence is damaging.
Silence in a crisis can be just as damaging as the crisis itself. It leads to confusion, frustration, a serious loss of confidence. Proactive, transparent communication is like a lifeline. It can sustain your community even through really tough times.
So the key takeaway here for you listening, it's about actively fortifying your gym against the unexpected, thinking through the unthinkable before it happens.
Having that plan in place. Jim argues it's not if something will happen, it's when. Being ready protects your business and your community.
Okay, final dimension, number 6. Mitigating reputational risk.
And Jim Thomas puts this so succinctly, your gym's brand is your currency. A single incident can undo years of goodwill.
Oof. That's potent. This is all about the long-term health, the perception of your business. And it takes constant vigilance, right? Especially today.
Constant proactive management in this hyper-connected world. And this is where Jim's insights get really interesting because your reputation, it's often built or broken in those everyday interactions, not just big events.
So what steps can owners take? In a world where everyone has a megaphone online, Jim points to seemingly small things, doesn't he? Like one bad review left unaddressed.
Yeah, he talks about how that can escalate into a major brand crisis. He even recounts a gym that lost like 20% of its potential new members in a single month because of just 2 negative reviews they ignored.
Wow. Okay, so what's the first step then?
It starts with outstanding customer service. Train all your staff, front desk, trainers, everyone to respond to member concerns with empathy and, crucially, action.
He suggests role-playing common complaints, right? Teaching staff how to de-escalate.
Exactly. Teach them how to resolve issues before they blow up online. A happy member, that's your best marketing, a walking advertisement.
And a dissatisfied one.
Can quickly become your worst critic, especially online. Investing in that customer service training, it pays huge dividends for your reputation.
Okay, good service is foundational. What about those online reviews themselves?
Online review monitoring and engagement. You need to assign someone a staff member, maybe hire a service to actively monitor Google, Yelp, Facebook, wherever people leave reviews for you.
And Jim insists you respond to every review, good and bad.
Every single one. Be authentic. Apologize when it's appropriate. Offer solutions. Ignoring negative feedback is just a surefire way to damage your brand.
Engaging shows you care. even if you're defending your position sometime.
Exactly. It demonstrates accountability, a commitment to improvement, and prospective members. They actively look for that responsiveness.
Good point. Okay, anything else for protecting the brand?
Lastly, set expectations with transparency, publish clear membership terms, clear cancellation policies, clear facility rules.
Avoid confusion and misunderstandings.
Right. Jim Thomas explains that so much negative feedback, even legal action sometimes, stems from simple confusion or misinterpretation of your policies. Clarity builds trust. It prevents misunderstandings from escalating into public complaints or disputes. Don't hide the fine print. Make it clear and accessible right from the start.
Makes total sense. So wrapping it all up, as Jim Thomas concludes, managing risk in the gym business, it's really way more than just avoiding lawsuits or financial loss.
It's fundamentally about, as he says, building a resilient, future-proof fitness company. It's about protecting every single facet of your operation, recognizing how interconnected all these dimensions are.
That's right. From keeping members safe and happy to ensuring you're financially sound and legally compliant. Risk management isn't some separate task you do occasionally.
No, it has to be woven into your daily operations, your long-term strategy. It's an ongoing commitment, definitely not a one-time checklist.
And Jim emphasizes, doesn't he, that the independent owners, the boutique studios, the trainers, the entrepreneurs who really prioritize this stuff, they're the ones best positioned to succeed.
Not just in terms of profit, though that's important, but in building trust, building loyalty, and building a reputation that really lasts. It's about securing your legacy in this industry.
So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you reflect on these 6 critical dimensions we've discussed, what's maybe one area of risk in your gym business that perhaps you've been overlooking?
And more importantly, what's the very first concrete step you can take, maybe even today, to start addressing it? Think about that single actionable step that could make the biggest difference right now.
That was a really insightful deep dive into Jim Thomas's white paper on managing risk in the gym business. We certainly hope you found these insights valuable.
Absolutely. And look, for any of you looking for more tailored guidance, maybe help building these risk-proof systems, auditing your vulnerabilities, or just positioning your gym for long-term success, Jim Thomas can definitely help.
You can contact Jim directly. His number is 214-629-7223.
Or you can email him at jthomas@fmconsulting.net.
Let me repeat that. The phone number is 214-629-7223.
And the email is jthomas@fmconsulting.net. jthomas@fmconsulting.net.
Thanks again for tuning into the Gym Success Podcast.
We hope these insights help you build a stronger, more secure fitness business.
We'll catch you next time.